to the diagramming tatting class. Looks like I'll be waiting a few minutes for any of the students who watch live to come in, so we'll get going as soon as some of the students come into class. In the meantime, I'm just going to put up my Inkscape screen. Hi, Aurora. It's great to see you too. Hi, Katia. Welcome. Good to see you again. He has a twin brother, and he's come to stay with me too. I had some groceries ordered to come this morning between 10 and 11. I thought they'll be here early enough. I only had a couple um, frozen things, so I wouldn't have to take care of a lot before class. So I had my alarm set. Oh, I'm sorry, Aurora. I hope that clears up. Um, so I set my alarm for like 8:30, and I remember hitting the snooze button a second time, and that's the last I remember until it was a couple minutes after 11, and my neighbor knocked on my door because my groceries were sitting out there. And so, and then I get them in, and in the process, I knocked a bowl off my counter, and that shattered. And it was right in my pathway, my walkway, so I had to sweep that up. And then it's like, how can I ever get ready for class now? So I still have my cup of coffee with me, my first cup, and I quick ate. I had ordered some seasoned pretzels, and I ate a few of those, and here I am. So we'll see. I don't know. I have to admit, I really was last week thinking I need to start, and we talked about it, writing up some how-tos to go with the classes. But it takes so much to write up tutorials for Inkscape because remember last week when you hold the control key and then you rotate a step and then you hit the space key to drop a copy, and then you hold control again, and all those little hold controls and control shift this and all that thing. It takes so much to write a tutorial like this. Perfetti was doing some for a while. She's tatting by the bay. And in fact, she started writing those. I don't even remember what year it was, but she was one of the originals that there were about 5 of us that wanted to have a diagram class. And I said, fine, I'd love to too. And I kind of was the coordinator. And during that time, Robin, she knew a lot about Inkscape too, and she started writing a few tutorials. But it's kind of like writing a book. It takes twice as long, 3 times as long to get it written down as it does to even teach for an hour and a half. Yeah, and yes, Aurora. Yeah, you've done some of that too, haven't you? You've done some things with your uh, cat helper and all, and yeah, and I just don't think I can do that now. Hi, Janella. Welcome. Um, I think most of you know I've had the last few years I've been on again, off again, and I don't want to sound like I'm not saying oh poor me because I feel very very fortunate, but I am getting to an age where I'm looking 80 straight in the eyes. And at some point I have to say, no matter how much I want to do this and teach, it is not easy anymore. Um, I have to sometimes think things through more. And so I don't know. I've thought about retiring. I keep every year I tell Tammy this is the year I just I can't do this anymore. So I don't know how you feel. I know I have gotten people that say yes, we learn a lot from you. So I just don't know. This morning was kind of I'm thinking maybe a wake up call. I felt kind of this way last night too. I was trying to do something and it just was my brain and eyes just wouldn't cooperate. So anyway, I hate to start out a class like this, and I feel like the last few years I've given too many excuses and everything, and I don't want to do that. But I am getting to the point. My birthday comes up in May, and I'm going to be 77, and I feel fortunate for being able to do as much as I can do. Um, so I don't know how how much would any of you miss this class? Um, would you continue using Inkscape? Would you give it up? And how much do you actually um, and enjoy the live sessions? I've thought about going to just pre-recorded and maybe then meeting and talking about it once in a while. I didn't mean to start out like this. Like I said, it's just been the day. I'm going to take another drink of my morning coffee here, even though it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. So I'd like some opinions, please. Do you really feel like you get enough out of this class for me to continue? It's you students. And now, Aurora, it's so wonderful. You came so much years ago when we were doing the design class, and now to have you in the class here and see you again is wonderful. And I would miss it too, and I love sharing my knowledge. So um, please give me some help here. How do you feel about this? What you're seeing on your screen is a diagram I was going to have us, I'm going to have us, well, not a tatting diagram, but a template for a magic square. And how it's being put together. My um, paper size I'm using here, my page size is 3.5 inches. And that is, I'll keep talking while you guys think about what you want to say about the class. Do you enjoy it enough and are you learning enough to keep going? Oh, you did for programming. Okay. You have do you still use Aurora, you put together a tat helper, didn't you, program for tatting design? I have to ask. I'm quite sure it's you, but for some reason my brain is you enjoy the classes. Okay. Well, I'm glad you get some ideas. That's the big part right there is getting some ideas. If it helps you at all, that's wonderful. What are you programming right now? Well, yes. Okay, you did. Do you still use your program? You'll keep going? I haven't seen any homework. Is anybody playing around with it? I'd love to see if you've got anything, any little doodles of designs that you've started or put together. I know you see what I do on the screen, and I'd love to see if you do anything like that. I know I've seen um, Tasneem has sent in some things that we look at once in a while. And could I get you to send some things in? Or if do you have time to work on anything? And if so, what questions and problems are you coming up with? What topics could I address? It seems like I've gone through most all of what we need for diagramming tatting. There's always more little things that I'll keep adding in, and as I learn them and or use them, I know a lot of things that as I learn more as I keep working and doing things. Oh, the threads and size of the work. Oh, okay. Oh, I know about finishing things. It's so hard to get. It takes so much time for everything. And now I find myself just wanting a lot more just downtime. I like to sit with pen and ink and draw. And I am trying to make it to a weekly little hour calm drawing session on Wednesday mornings. And some of that I'll be using with some scraps of tatting, like for the tatting cards. I actually took Bev Quarter's um, tatting card class or ATC card class in Palmettos this past summer. And okay, well, I'm here. I'm here this morning. So I'm gonna keep going, and hopefully this morning I can get a few new things to show you. One of the things I did want to talk about is I do like working on 8.5 by 11. For some reason, the big white sheet and all works for me. But this morning, I'll show you the two different ways that you can do like a 3.5 inch. The first one, and I didn't actually talk about a beginning template. Hi, Mary. Wonderful to see you here again. That Aurora, that is the only thing really I think that keeps me going now. And I do miss it when I'm not doing this. I just feel like sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, can I, I get really my mind nowadays. It goes, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this other thing. And I start one thing, and then it's like, oh, maybe this would be better. And then I can't remember how long ago did I do this, or when should I do, is it something I should cover again? And then it gets on the last day, and the night before, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what exactly am I going to teach tomorrow? And how's it going to work? So, well, it's quarter after, so just about. So we'll get going learning, hopefully learning something. What you see on your screen is a diagram for the magic square. I've never drawn a magic square or designed a magic square, or I've never even tatted a magic square. And it's kind of intrigued me. Um, and yes, I still have a paisley design started, and I have a leaf design started. Are any of you working on any of those past topics, like a paisley or a leaf or anything right now that you're designing? Let me get answers to that question. Anybody working on a tatting project or tatting design right now? So I'll keep talking about this, and I'm going to show you a beginning template. One of the things I know you know by now is that I like to work in inches. Trying to switch to millimeters is just not something I'm up to nowadays. So a bee. Oh, you're working on your bee still. Okay. Um, that's great. That's great. Insects. Yeah. Oh, everything seems so slow, doesn't it, Mary? There's so many other things in life too. Oh, you are working on the paisley. Oh, number 4 or paisley 4. That's great, Janella. I think I'm going to have to work on my paisley and my leaves before I start designing or even thinking about a doing a magic square design. But because I started the topic, and to me it's a really interesting design topic and we can learn a lot from it, I've decided to uh, talk about it again this week and show how I'm making my uh, template for making a magic square. So here is the magic square I finished. Oh, for your son. Okay. All right. A beginning template, one of the things I did make, and I'm going to show you, rather than just working with opening up a new document, which comes up, I still haven't found a way to keep it in inches. However, I don't know if I've ever talked about the topic of templates before, beginning templates. If you go to File, you can either say New, which gives you a new page, and usually the default is the A4, the English, what they consider a regular page compared to the American. Started with clouds and, oh, he's a pilot. Is the paisley going to be, I can see the paisley being part of the airplane or paisley clouds. um, but I like 8.5 by 11. So you can start new from a template. Now there are templates. If you click on that, you get this dialog box of templates. And you can make, down at the bottom right, it says create from template. You can actually make your own templates. And there's like right here, here's the US letter portrait. Now, I can just click on that. That means I can just open this up by double clicking on it. And I have an 8.5 by 11 with that's already set up for inches. And that really is easier. It's quicker than opening up a new file and then switching everything to inches or going to the document properties and changing it to 8.5, 11 size and like all that. You could also, if you, I designed everything on here for some reason for me, like if I'm making a magic square and I'm going to draw my square, I have this set. Let's see what it's set at. I'm still opening up to a dashed line, it looks like, and I think the last color I used for my line was red. And so let me get, I've got all, I still have all my palettes open. And remember, you can always, or palettes, or they actually call this, I think, I forgot what they call it. And I think I've heard somebody call these panels rather than palettes. Palettes is a word from Adobe Illustrator. You can get any of them with this down arrow that is right below the snap tool. And if I click on that here, you can get all your different align and distribute panel. You can your dialog. We've got our what else? Fill and stroke over here on the right. You can even get path effects down here at the bottom right under advanced. Your settings, your document properties, your preferences. You can get all of these opened up with your drop down arrow here, your drop down menu. And I have most of mine still open here. So I'm going to go to my fill and stroke, which is the paintbrush here. And my stroke style, yep, I still have dash lines. And I've changed that in another document this morning. I'll change it to a plain straight line. Now notice it hasn't changed on my screen yet. Sometimes it doesn't change until you click back on your screen. For lines, I still always work in points because that's what is familiar to me. I've got a 0.25, which is a nice size line for drawings, but for you to see it, I'm going to make it 0.75. So I'm going to just click in the width box and backspace and put in a 7 instead of a 2 there. Now when I click on my page, I've got a 7.5, uh, 0.75 line. Somebody's knocking. Okay. I'm glad it's your door, not mine. Um, we haven't talked a lot about the tools control bar, which is up at the top, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Um, but let's go back. I didn't finish the template. I've got to finish things I start. New from template. And there's all kinds. This is your print template. There's video for video things. Social, I don't even, Facebook event image. Oh my God. See, I haven't even looked at most of these. Instagram square. Oh my gosh. That would be easy for a lot of things you're doing, especially if you're doing um, things in Facebook and Instagram. You've got everything in here. That actually brings up a template the size that you would use. I'm going to skip over here to other. Oh, that's for making your own icons. Oh, and a tiled canvas at the end for seamless patterns. I don't teach these things because it's not actually tatting diagramming. And I haven't uh, done, I've made seamless patterns before, though. Custom, I've got, well, I guess I have made one. Tatting samples too. Here's a threefold. But you can also make your own templates. You just do a save as. I'm going to open up, see what I've got in here. Oh my gosh, I made a template out of my, here's the file I couldn't find for the design class. And let me see what size it is. I believe I made it. Oh, it's still my 8.5 by 11. I could make it into, let's do this. I don't think I can change my template. I probably have, usually if you're opening a template, you want to then go um, file. Because this template has a name and it is a template, I would have to do a file, save as, and then give it a new name of the new file that I want to, or the new drawing I'm making, and then save it. One of the reasons you would want to use a smaller size, um, like this, the one I made here, I made it 3.5 by 3.5 because I want my square to be 3 by 3. And this gives it a little bit of a 1/4 inch margin around it. And so if you have a photo image even, or a diagram or anything like that, and you're going to put it in your instruction document, um, you want to have it start out as small as possible. You don't, if you've got a 3 inch by 3 inch diagram on an 8.5 by 11 sheet or an A4 sheet of paper, it's not going to go into your, like say you're working your instructions in the Word document. Um, for one thing, you just want the image with a little bit of margin around it for two reasons. If you're saving it as a JPEG, a 3 by 3 is going to have the file size, not the dimensions, but the background size, how many um, uh, not megabytes, but because they're big, but anyway, how many do I want to say I guess like the size of the whole file. Okay, not the physical size, but the size of, um, I can't describe it this morning. This is my problem sometimes. I don't have dementia, but age does do funny things to your brain. It's sometimes hard to retrieve things that are in all these little boxes in your brain. Um, but anyway, it's best just to have the size of your image to put in. Yes, you can resize your JPEG images or even a PDF file in once it's in your documents, but it's always better to have the smallest file you can. So you would only want this to be 3.5 by 3.5, not a 3 by 3 image on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. Does that make sense, everybody? Is it coming through? Um, and like I said, you could create your own template like this. I'm going to do File. I'm going to go down and say Save Template, which is down under Save a Copy. I give it a name. I'm going to say, uh-oh, let me get myself back up here. All right, you're seeing me again. Oh, come on. Hold on a second. Something froze. I can't get my Inkscape picture. Oh, here we go. I'll just move that down. Okay, I'm going to name it 3 by 3. I probably better say inch. I'm going to put an underscore. You see me using underscores, remember, because anytime I it's a habit for me when I name things, even if it's not the actual file name, is because the spaces leave the 20% sign in your address field. And that just really bothers me. It's one of those, I don't know if it's an OCD thing or not, but so the underscore actually leaves just a blank space in your address bar when you have um, um, your addresses in your HTML file name. Inch template. That was supposed to be a P. And I could put more things in it. I'm just going to be say save. Now it should be saved in my template. I'm going to go to File, New from Template. And I'm going to go to Custom. And there it is, the very first one, 3 by 3 inch template. So I open it up. It's a template. And notice it just says new document. So you do a file save and save it to the name of your document, the new one. Like maybe it's going to be called my Clover Ring Magic Square. And then I could start designing it. So that's how you make your own custom size template to start with. The other thing you can do is, I believe I have a page down here. I need to get up one other thing. Okay, I can still see. I got to pop up, see if there's any questions or answers to any of my questions. I got to get my chat box back up. Okay. I have another document, I think, in Inkscape, my new document, that's got my red square in it. At this point, even though it is on an 8.5 by 11, and I don't even know what size this box is because all I did is just draw it. So we're going to move in close to it because I want to talk about the control, the tools bar control, and using that. Now I didn't bother trying to drag this square to be a certain size. And if you look up here, it actually came out, let's see, it's at 2 to 6.5. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.5 inches by whatever. The easiest way to make this into a 3 by 3 square, just from um, any size drawn box, is to select it. And if this bar right below the menu bar is the context sensitive bar, it's everything on it relates to what you have selected and the tool you're using. Now I made the box with a rectangle tool, but now that it's made and selected with the selection tool, I can look up above and I've got a width 4.16 and a height 3.4. All I have to do to make my box exactly 3 by 3 is go up and change. I can select the whole 4.161 and put 3 in there. Then I'll go over. Oh, shoot. Give me 1 minute, everybody. My screen is going darker because my power is out and I forgot to bring my charging cord in here. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to go into my, welcome back, Aurora. I'm going to go into my settings here. I just had to run and get my power cord from my computer. I'm just going to get into my settings and make sure the display is still. No, it went down. There we go. Okay, now we're set up again. Let me check and make sure I'm still. I got two Inkscape documents and I need to pull make sure you're seeing what I'm seeing. My streaming software dialog box needed to be open too. Okay, so I was talking about just changing this up above. I've got the width, the W right here, and 3. I can actually just copy that. Control copy and paste it into the height, 3 by 3. Now I have exactly a 3-inch by 3-inch square. Now you didn't lose the connection. That's great. So using your, up here is where we have the flip vertical and flip horizontal, flip vertical, and, rotate 90 degrees and things like that. You also have width and height. And then you have the other ones over here. And this is an important one that I wanted to talk about today, too. And I think since this is a good spot to mention it. There are now, and I don't recall that these were here before, you had to click an arrow up above in the upper right to get where it tells you that this first one, when scaling objects, scale the stroke width by the same proportion. And that was something that I didn't get to last week. And I'm going to quick do it right now. And then we'll go back. Now that we got our 3x3 square, we'll go back to fixing that up. When we scale an item, I'm going to open up also my, oh, maybe I still have it open, my ring size chart. Nope, I closed it. Okay. This is my ring sample chart. And I want to talk about resizing rings because one of the things that can happen, and I'm going to use this red one ring right here. When you have something rotated and you want to enlarge it, if you go to enlarge, oh, I think I got it turned at exactly a 45-degree angle, and that is probably going to stay the same. No, oh, good. If I pull it over like this, notice that the stroke lines are still the same, even though I've lost my ring size. But it got all a weird size. Notice the bigger I make this, the more it looks right, but it's not quite. It's gotten a little bit out of shape. You can see it when I put it up like this. See how you've lost your proportion. What you have to do when you resize a ring is make sure, I'm going to see if I can back out of this and get it regular again. Whoops. If you're, if you resize it when it's straight up and down, it's vertically um, centered here. Then it comes out resizing the same. Especially, I mean, if you hold both, it won't change proportions if you hold both your shift key and your control key down. But if not, notice I can change it different sizes. But all my changing, my stroke sizes remain the same. Sometimes, I'm going to click on this and see if this is toggle on and off. Yeah, it's still on. I'm going to draw a new oval. I want to make sure that how it's going to resize. No matter how I make it, my stroke is staying the same size. Even though as I drag it, notice how funny it can get. It can get, like here you see the top and bottom are wider, the stroke is, than the sides. That can happen. And if it does happen, if when you deselect, your stroke is not the same size, it's because you need to click on this first thing that says you want to scale the stroke by the same proportion. It must be on right now. Let me click it and see if I can get one that doesn't scale right. Mine are all scaling right. I was working with this the other day. Let me see if I get a brand new file. Let's try this. This is going to be hard to see. Let me get my, I'm going to make my stroke size bigger. Actually, I'm just leaving it on millimeters this time because all I'm doing is clicking the plus button to get it wider. I'm going to actually make it smaller. Now I'm going to rotate it some. I want you to see. Okay, here we go. On the new, I think obviously the way this new button works is, see how now when I scaled it up, the stroke hasn't stayed the same size. So let me make another one. Let me rotate that. And again, I'm just going to make it bigger again. Again, see how it's changed the stroke size? So I'm going to Z out back to my ring. Okay, what I need to do is it's selected and I'm going to click on this first. It's the angle with a little smaller one inside it and the three dots. If I click on that once, now if I resize it, it shouldn't be. I've got to practice with this tool more to figure out. Okay, I'm going to click on it again. And it's still not doing it. It worked before when I did this. Maybe I need to click on it before I draw. It's not working. It's worked for me before, and I don't know why it's not working. But this is something you want to be careful of when you're resizing your rings and even your anything you're resizing in your diagram. I'm going to have to find a better answer for next week, or for, well, 2 weeks. This is supposed to keep it from doing that. And I don't think it has to do as whether the object is just an object or whether I've changed it to a path. Anybody else tried this and have an answer to this? Okay, well, what I'm going to tell you then is the thing to do. Say I have a ring, and I'm actually going to take my node tool here, the second one down, and click on, remember we've used this object to path, nice little button that they've added in this version to make it into a path with nodes. If I'm going to resize this, if I've got a ring, say I've got a clover, and one of the side rings on the clover is this direction. If I was going to resize that, I would want to make sure that I orientated it on either the vertical or horizontal axis. I'm going to bring down some lines. Well, I'll bring down the vertical line. Now I'm going to hold control and rotate it. And it clicked in place when it's straight up and down vertical. At this point, I could resize it, and it should keep the same proportions. And not get into a funny squeeze. I use the word squee-jawed. I don't know what part of the country that comes from, but it doesn't get out of shape. It keeps its proportion as long as you are enlarging it either on the vertical. Whoops, I better make it an oval again so you can see the difference. Or the horizontal axis. And I can tell it's horizontal even though I didn't have a ruler line to begin with. If I put my line down, notice it's going, my ruler guide, directly through both arrows. So I know it's exactly horizontally aligned at this point. And then I can enlarge it. And it's always best to hold your control key to keep things in proportion too. So that's the one thing I wanted to show you, and how exactly we get that. There it is. This little stay in shape, I'm sure it's just a click and it's supposed to put you into the mode. And I believe that it lasts throughout your working in the document. But then the next time you open up a new document, um, it I believe it goes back to a default setting. So that's something to just try or realize if you get a stroke that doesn't stay in proportion to what I started with. Okay, any questions or comments about that? That was the one thing I wanted to get in this week. I'm going to close that without saving. This was the other, oh, this is my ring samples. And I'm going to close that too. And we've talked now about getting a 3x3 inch square or whatever size you want to start with. So I'm going to close this also. Now we're back to the magic square diagram. And so remember, and I'm going to put arrows on this too, to show the direction that you're going to be going. And I'm going to make this into a template document that about magic squares. And this is what I'm going to use. Now I started out with just I'm going to open a new file for this. Just a new one, not from a template. I didn't bother opening a template, so I'm in millimeters. But I can easily change that, and also up here on my control or tool controls bar. So I'm going to start with my square. I'm going to I'm going to use my S key on my keyboard to get my selector tool. I'm again going to do my width and height, But remember, I just opened up new, so it's millimeters. So there's two different things I can do. I can, over here to the right of the height, I can change it to inches here. I have to scroll up on this little box to get to inches. Now, notice my tools control bar is in inches, but my ruler is still in millimeters. So I'm gonna, I can still at this point right click on my ruler and change my ruler into inches too. I'm gonna Control Z back out because, oops, I want my, Control Y brings back your last step. You know, Control Z deletes the last step. Control Y puts the last step back in. Instead of changing the millimeters on this tools control bar, I'm going to actually right click on my ruler, change it to inches. And notice that automatically changed my controls toolbar to inches. So that's another quick way. If you really start using the control bar up here for your height and width and things like that, it can make it a lot easier. And I know I want this square to be 3 by 3. So looks like I got 395 by 3.3, 3.95. I'm just going to back out to the 3, and on the other one also backspace to make it exactly 3 by 3. So here I have my 3 by 3 square. Now I'm going to want to use this as a guide for my magic square that I'm designing. I don't need the square outline. I just need it as a guide. Obviously, it's not part of the pattern. And so I am going to change it back to black because red is too, I want to put some other things in another color. So I'm going to go to my stroke paint, or I could go down and hold my shift key and click on the black color box down here to change it to black. Or I could just pick black on the color wheel here. Do I have pure black? Nope. Pure black, it looks black, but if you look down here at the RGBA number, that is actually a hexadecimal number. And I happen to know these are the numbers that are used on screens. You know, we've talked about resolution, how what we're doing is a vector drawing, which is all mathematical based. But color, on screen color, is RGB, and there's an A after this, but it's really just RGB. This is a different variation of it. But I happen to know that FF from web design, FF, is black. Oh, no, I lost it. You know what? I think I must have changed my stroke. No, I didn't change my stroke width. I'm going to click on shift in the black box. That's easiest to get back my color. Okay, so now I have my black box. And I'm going to change it to points again to see. I don't need 9-point outline. So from points, I'm just going to put 0.25 because I know that's a good out. Oh, I didn't get anything up here. 0, 0, 0, 0. 2.25 points. Okay, now I got my 2. That's a good outline for a box. And this is going to be my outline box. Now remember, we need to have vertical. We need to have vertical and horizontal lines inside to divide our box into 4 squares, because you always start with squares and then diamonds inside of each square for your magic square design. So I could bring out some ruler guides to help me with this. And I'll just put the ruler guide exact center and use that. And I'm going to get my pen tool. I actually want some guidelines that state that are actually drawn lines inside my box rather than temporary blue guidelines. But using the guideline, and I have my snap control on, I just clicked it off. Now if I move my pen, notice it's not automatically catching on anything. But if I click on this upper the little sideways horseshoe, that's my snap tool. I click on that one, so that's on. Notice now it wants to snap to the box outline, and it's catching here at the guideline I made. And I hope it's a centered guideline. But if it's not, I can tell because in a minute we're going to use some 45-degree lines. So I click once, and it also, helps, it kind of clicks into exactly so it's a vertical line if I've got my snap tool on. So I double click and get my first line. Now I'm going to pull down, I'm going to S on my keyboard for my selection tool. I'm going to pull down another guideline, get my pen tool, and draw another one across that way. So here are my 4 squares. Now I don't want these lines, I want them to be even fainter. So as my base guideline, these are all I am working on my first layer because I haven't made any more layers. So this is my layer panel. And here's what I've drawn. I am going to go over to the right on layer 1. This first white black box, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to move the opacity down to about 30%, 40%. Oops, I didn't grab it. No wonder. There we go. 35%. I think I'll go down to 30, about 30%. That's always a nice opaqueness for a guide that you're going to use. It's going to be your background guide. Now, I don't ever want this to move. So I am going to also, I hope you're seeing my whole, let me check my, oops. I got too many things open here. Let me get them down. I need to check and make sure. Nobody has said they're not seeing my whole. I just realized something. Are you seeing? Oh, you are seeing my whole Inkscape screen. Were you not seeing my whole Inkscape screen before? Were you just seeing the box? Or were you seeing my whole Inkscape screen with my panels and everything that I've been talking about? Always, please, please let me know if you haven't been seeing that. Better now. I'm sorry. All this time I've been talking, you're not seeing what I'm doing. I didn't realize it wasn't centered. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, what I've been talking about is, okay, I'm going to select this. It's gray now. Can you now see my height and width up here on my I hope this hasn't been happening the whole time I've been teaching. I mean, for other classes too, that you're not seeing where I'm going on my screen. Better now. Um, okay. Had you before, when I had my box highlighted, could you see this upper? I'm going to, oh, but you were following because I was talking it. Okay. I can't believe, oh my gosh. It's hard because I think what I really would be best for this class is if I had a second screen so I could be looking at two different screens and seeing what you're actually seeing. I can see now, I have to, this box barely shows, but I can see if I move over. Okay, so let me see if I put it in the middle of the screen. Now I think you can see this upper width and height box, can't you? Thank you, Mary. Okay, what I've been talking about for the squares are, and you can see, move that off to the left. You still can't see. I guess I can't. It's like, how do I keep everything? I wonder if let me try making this smaller so that when I do this now, you can even see up above here. Okay, my box right now, look at this width and height right here that you can now see. It's 2.902. I don't know what I did to, I must have, when I had it like this, changed the width somehow. I'm going to go back up where it says, up here where it says 2.902. I'm going to select and put 3. And I'm going over to the height and put 3. So I know my square is 3 by 3 now. It is 3 by 3. I do have my, um, looks like my diagonal and vertical lines inside are exactly vertical. I'm going to show you one other way you can know for sure if you're centered and if everything is centered. And you know the way that I just had accidentally changed the width and height of my box a little? That is why when we get these next lines in, I'm going to recheck to make sure everything's still sized right. Then I am going to go over layer 1 all the way to the right, and I'm going to lock this layer so that as I am putting in a design later or putting in any more lines, I won't be able to accidentally change that. That is the purpose of layers. You can put them on things on different layers, and something like this that I want to use as a guide for making my magic square, I can lock this in place, and as I'm drawing later my rings and chains, that can't be accidentally changed because the whole layer is locked. But I want to get one more thing in here. I think the best would have been if I left my square on a layer, locked the square 3 by 3 box, then added a second layer where I put my vertical and diagonal lines. Then I could have locked that layer. You can have as many layers as you need. That would have kept me from changing the size of my outside box when I was changing or when I was adding my vertical and horizontal lines. I think I'll do that right now. I'm going to lock it. Well, no, because I want to check and make sure everything is exactly centered. Well, yeah, I'm going to leave it for right now. I'm just going to, in the end, make sure my box is still 3 by 3. Yes, that is having layers and being able to lock them is what do you call it, diagram changing, or instead of life changing. It makes a huge difference. And because we always need some kind of a guide when we're diagramming, and when we're making a design, so we know everything's even. I'm going to pull down now two more guidelines. I'm going to pull them out, one out of the upper left corner right next to that lock. It's hard to grab it sometimes. I can't get one. I didn't lock it, did I? No. I'm going to try the upper right one first. Okay, the upper right one's pulling down easily. I'm going to line that up exactly with my double-headed arrows, and it should go through the exact center. I'm going to try now to get that vertical, that other one. There it is. Okay, I got it. And I'm bringing that to the exact center. Now it looks like I'm totally exactly centered. I'm going to check it just to make sure before I put in these next pen lines. And I'm going to do that by zooming way in. And I like to just click my Z key to get my zoom tool. Notice now I have a zoom things up here too. And at this point I could remember zooming 1 to 1 makes it so that this is what 1 inch, and or this is exactly what 3 inches is. What I'm seeing on the screen, I could actually put my ruler up there and it should measure exactly 3 by 3 also. When you've got it 1 to 1, your view, that means it matches, your ruler matches real life. Um, but I'm going to, with my zoom tool, just select around the very, very center. And look at that. Look how close those lines are to all crossing. I'm going to, I know that because I went corner to corner, I know that my diagonal guidelines are exactly 45 degrees, because when you pull them out, they are 45 degrees. So where they cross is the very true center of my square. Whoops. I'm going to zoom in once more. I don't know how good this is showing up on the screen. Oh, it looks like it's showing up really good for you. Okay, so I can see that it looks like maybe that was too far in. My vertical line, I did get that dead center. But remember, I may not have gotten, it looks like I did not get my horizontal line just by manually um, pulling it out on my box. I didn't exactly minutely get it lined up horizontally on the exact center. So with my selection tool, upper left tool, or my S key, I am going to now move my horizontal line up. Now I am zoomed in so far, I know I have the center, everything is centered exactly. So now I'm going, to zoom in and out, like right now, I'm using my minus key to zoom out. I just keep clicking it till I'm zoomed out where I want to be. It's interesting because I can see that my pen line is just a teeny bit, it's not quite centered on my guideline, but I drew it pretty close to it, close enough that I think using it for the guide in the background of our diagramming would it would everything would still come out symmetrical when the whole design is put together. Um, Although now with my selection tool, let's see if I can select my line itself. I can maybe move it up just a smidge so that it is exactly centered now on the blue guideline. So now I know I'm going to back out. I know that, and notice now some of my guidelines aren't showing all the way through. That happens with guidelines sometimes when you're zooming in and out. It's just, um, it's still there. It's just the screen, you're not viewing it on the screen, but it is there. I don't know if let's see if I get my hand and can select again if it comes back into view. It's just a screen viewing thing. It didn't actually disappear in the center. Oh, see, when I zoomed in, it came back. When you zoom in and out faster, sometimes do things, it just what you actually see on the screen, it isn't exactly what's true there. But I don't need those guides. I do need them because I'm going to put in some triangle lines now too. But before I put those in, now that I know that my vertical and horizontal lines and everything is exactly centered, now I am going to go and up to my layer 1 over here, and I'm going to click on the lock to lock it. So now I'm going to back out. No matter what I do, notice I can't even select my square anymore. My square and my vertical horizontal lines, they're locked. I can get rid of my guidelines, but I can't get rid of the pen lines I drew, which is why I decided to draw pen lines rather than just using outside guidelines. Because when I open this up again and again, I want my um, lines to always be there. But what I'm going to do is change them a little. So I'm either going to change the color or make them dashed or something. And we'll be doing that here too. Hold on a second. I have to take a little drink of my coffee here. Good thing I like iced coffee because it is now cold. I haven't turned my heat up since I got up this morning, so I'm still on my nighttime settings. And seeing how it's probably only, I don't even know, what time is it? I don't even know what temperature is out. I think we're making it into the high 30s today. But my inside temperature is set on 69, so which is still cool enough to make my coffee cold. Okay, now when we make a magic square, now the right diagonal line is showing, but the left one for a minute there didn't show on the left. I also want, because remember, when we're making a magic square, we're going to start in this upper left-hand corner. Um, if you tap right-handed, if you're a left-handed tatter and you tap from right to left, you're going to start in the upper right-hand corner. Remember, you want to start and end on this upper left corner for a magic square. And so we're going to be working this first upper triangle square one here. This is square one. My upper left square is square one. And I'm going to be working in the upper right triangle. So I am going to need this bottom guideline when I start designing. And so what I'm going to do is draw that in. Now, if I'm designing from here down to here, and as you go, this is your direction of tatting, left to right, and then you have to go down. And I'm going to put in the arrows just to show you that. We haven't made them for a while. Get my pen tool. Pen tool. Do I have? Oh, I don't have any stroke. Look down. If you look, I hope you can see the bottom left here. Let me take a look and see. Yes, you can. Okay, you can see when I'm saying here, bottom left. I didn't get a line with my pen. And I look down here, the bottom left, and under stroke it says NA. So I don't have any stroke or fill. I could open up in the upper right, I could open up my fill and stroke to add a color, a fill color. And notice it says no objects. I can also, I'm going to just go down, hold my shift key, and click on black. I've got to click on I might have to have my pen object down there first. This is one of those things that if I draw a pen line here, I'm going to go up to stroke paint. It's because I don't have anything selected. I guess this is one of those weird things. You can't draw something if you don't, you know. Oh, I know. Duh. Anybody know what I didn't do? Let me see what answers. What do you think is wrong? Think back to the very last thing I did. What was the last thing I did? Okay, think about this. I changed the opacity of my lines on layer one for my box and for my vertical and horizontal lines. Right after I changed the opacity, what did I do to that layer? Anybody got a quick answer? What did I do to that layer after I changed the opacity and all? What was the very last thing? Yes, I locked it. I can't draw right now because I'm still on that layer one and I've locked layer one. I have to go to my layers. I forgot to make a layer two. And now with layer one locked, my base square, I need to click on the plus over the minus, add a layer two. Now I have a layer two. Now I can go get my pen. See now I'm drawing a pen line. I might not have any fill or stroke, but it's drawing it. I do have a fill still. My fill didn't change, but I couldn't draw because I forgot to make a layer two to work on and layer one was locked. Okay, so what I want to do, I didn't want to make that line up there. Yes, I needed another layer to work on. I want to have a diagonal line. You're welcome, Aurora, and hugs back to you too. And I am feeling great about the class today. I think you're going to be learning a few things. And so this makes me stay teaching, even though yesterday and this morning I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do a class day, especially after getting up late? And last night my mind was saying, shoo, I don't know what I'm going to do. So, bye and Aurora. Okay, I've still got my guidelines in, but I'm going to draw a pen line now. And I'm going to click on the upper left corner. And remember, I still have snap on, so I'm snapping exactly to the center. Now, when we design in that left box, upper left box, upper diamond shape that I've just put a base on that triangle. Not diamond shape, I'm sorry, triangle shape. But I'm also probably going to want to get the this triangle in too. So I'm just going to go up to the upper right corner. Oh, I guess I ended that line. Okay, we'll start another line here. My pen tool, I'm going to double click up here. Now I have the top half divided up into the triangles I need to make my first two small triangles, which ends up with this big triangle. And those are my first two design spaces. Oh, I know what I was doing the straight line. Yes, probably will happen. Hi, Debbie. So glad you joined us. We're actually making a template for Magic Square and learning a lot along the way. So now that I've just put in these two lines, I am going to want them to be um, a dotted line. You know, if we get too many, notice already if I back out, and one of the reasons I don't want to use the guidelines um, that show all over the page is once you start getting all these guidelines in, and then you're going to start drawing on your square or your rectangle, your box. I mean, all these lines to me, all the blue lines outside and inside and all, just seem too much. I don't need all that, which is why I'm making permanent inside pen lines for my guides, as for my Magic Square guides inside my box. So I'm going to plus sign, I'm using plus sign, zoom back in. I think I usually forget to mention that I'm using that shortcut to zoom in and out when I don't use my Z key to get my um, zoom tool, or I don't go up here and I don't go over here and find my zoom tool. I think my zoom tool is in my toolbox on the left, but it's way down somewhere. Yeah, I just scrolled my bar up with my mouse scroll, and notice my zoom tool is way down here. I'm not always going to want to go down there and get it. So I either use the plus and minus keys to zoom in and out, or I click on Z and get this zoom tool. Now I'm going to click back on S to get my selector tool again. And see, that's all so much faster than going over here to your toolbox. So if you learn nothing else, just like you've already learned, like probably even from working in Word, Control Z for undo and Control Y for redo your undo. Um, um, you want to learn S for your selector tool and N for your node tool. Notice I can hit N and I've got my node tool now, and everything uh, selecting my light. Remember, I can't, my layer one is locked, so I can't select anything on the outline of my box or anything. I can only select my two diagonal lines now that I just drew on layer two. So that is just that huge advantage of having layers, because I know I can't change my 3 by 3 box to 2.9 like I did uh, a little bit ago or anything. Now I'm going to go back to my select tool. I want to select both these diagonal lines. So I'm holding the shift key to select the second one. Or remember, I could draw around both those diagonals and select both of them together. I'm going to go and to my fill and stroke panel. I don't need my color, I need my stroke style. And I'm going to go to dashes right here. I'm going to click on the drop down arrow. I call it an arrow, it's a triangle. And I'm going to, it's an arrow tip, I guess. That's why I call it an arrow tip for the drop down list. Um, and I'm going to select, like, I think this one right here. Okay, I like that one. Or I could have gone down, it depends upon what you want. I could go to this one. That may be better. Okay, now I want to change the color because I want these to stand out differently than my gray lines. And remember my box lines, vertical and diagonal, and the outline of my box are, or my square, are light gray because I changed the opacity on the layer, not because I chose a gray stroke color. This is a black stroke color, but remember on that layer one, I went over here to this box on the layer and changed my opacity to 29%, which makes it gray. So now I'm going to click on my two diagonal lines. Now I'm going to go here, fill and stroke, and I'm going to go to stroke paint, and I'm going to choose, I think, like a light green color maybe. Actually, I don't like using this as much as I like going down and clicking on, holding my shift key, and I'm going to click a green here out of my palette in the bottom. Hold shift, select. Now those lines are green. So I've got gray lines and I've got green lines. And now I can start my design. The rest of this we're not going to use. Now when I back out, you know, I still have all these around here on my guidelines. Could you duplicate layer one while it is locked? Then unlock the duplicate. You can make duplicate layers. Um, let's see. I'm going to right click on the layer one name. I'm not sure I can duplicate it while it's locked. I'm going to go down here to, if I right click on it, I get the drop down box, duplicate. Okay, I have duplicate layer one. I was on layer two, working on layer two, so my duplicate, whatever you do, a new layer or a duplicate layer, it always goes at the top of the layer list. So I don't want that at the top. I'm going to pull it down below layer two. I'm just going to grab it, drag it. Oops, I put it, it's still part of layer two. I want to drag it. I don't want it. I'm going to undo that. Okay, see what happened is I dragged it down and I ended up dropping it in layer two. So instead of that, I'm going to click on it and I'm going to see if I remember how. I think this icon right here. Yeah, the down arrow right here to the left of the trash can, that moved the layer down below layer two. when I dragged it, I accidentally dropped it into layer 2, but I don't want it part of layer 2. And you know what? Look, it's still locked, and yes, I can unlock it. So let me, I'm going to go to layer 1. I'm going to turn off the eye so I know I'm not seeing layer 1. And I'm seeing it's a duplicate layer 1. I'm going to click on it and name it, I don't want two layers called layer 1. I'm going to rename it just by clicking on the name, double clicking. Layer 1 gets highlighted here, and I can call it layer 1 duplicate. Hit the enter key. So now I have layer 1, I have layer 1 duplicate, and it's unlocked. Let's see. Sure enough, look. Yes, Mary, you can. And change the size or design it. Yep, you definitely can. Super, that's the kind of questions we need. I mean, layers, I don't think Illustrator, Corel Draw, Inkscape, any of the vector drawing programs, this is, people that draw intricate things. So that is the purpose of layers. You wouldn't be able to work if you had everything on the same layer and all live. You'd be accidentally moving things all over the place. and and you can have, like, people have 30. I don't know how many you can go up to. I think you can set that in your preferences, the number of layers. So yeah, is it 2:30 already? Oh wow, and I could go on and on. I think this is probably a good place to stop. Um, and I think we've learned a heck of a lot. I know. Um, it's funny. I knew you could duplicate layers and all, but I'd never tried duplicating a layer and then, if it's locked, and it came when I duplicated it, stayed locked, but I could unlock it. And my layer 1 is still locked. Now, if I turn the eye off on layer 2, now they're both gone. All I have left are my my V lines. And even now, notice how your dotted V lines, they're kind of, when you've got all these guides here, it can be it can be distracting, I find, for myself. Now, maybe not for you, because that is a personal preference thing. But for me, right now that I've got the diagonal lines in, I'm going to go up and go Edit, um, Delete All Guides. Now I have my drawn line. I don't have all that stuff around. I've got my that. If I open up my eyes, I've still got my base. Now I'm going to, my duplicate layer 2, I'm going to turn off the eye because I don't need that big outside box. The way I changed the box, the size of it. All I need is my original box. Now look to me how much cleaner that seems and easier when you don't have all those light blue guidelines around. And I can make the green dotted dash lines more opaque or finer and all like that, so that everything, all this stays in the background for when I start drawing my rings and start drawing my magic square. So this is where we can stop. We've got our template made for our magic square, and maybe we'll start next time. Oh, let me quick show you something. I don't know if I have it opened up yet. No, let me quick show you something here that I have in here. Um, I don't know if it's this one. Nope, it's not that one, so it's the other one. Corners Worksheet 1. This is the beginning of my very first magic square. And this is like sketching. My sketch is all over crazy. Whoops. But I've finally gotten over to right here and something I'm liking. And then over here, I've started working with it to design the first triangle. You remember somebody asked me, is it possible in the design class when I was sketching to do the kind of a zigzag pattern, fill in and tat it? And I said, I'm quite sure. What I've done is I always liked the shape of my, let me zoom way out and zoom back in. I've always liked the shape of my lamb ear, so I copied that, pasted it. Actually, I pasted the whole lamb diagram into here, and I'm using that ear to start designing my magic square. And I don't know if something like this has been, a design like this has been done before, but I'll have to research. Going to read up on the, oh, yes. Oh, and I've got a couple links for you. Hold on one second. Let me get my, oh, I know. Hold on one minute here. Where did I put it? I put it in my chain thing. Did I put them in there? No, I didn't. Okay, you want to go to Robin Perfetti's. This is one of the things I wanted to show. Heading by, whoops, the bay. Oh, hold on. There was actually a thing there, designing magic squares. This is one of the things, this is what you want to look at right here. Tatting by the Bay blog spot, designing magic squares. Um, and what's interesting is she has taken, oh, where is it? Down here. She's got the magic square design here. Um, this is what's interesting right here, is because she has taken, notice she's got onion, this top triangle has onion rings on the outside. She's flipped and just flipped one of the triangles, put the onion rings on the inside, and gotten a completely different design. So this is where you want to go to read about the um, magic square. Did you get, you were there? Great. Okay, that's perfect. And Tammy in class, I've got right here in my Word document, Tammy, think it through. And this is what we're doing is we're thinking it through, and we're thinking through the magic square. So I think we're going to have to go on and talk about the magic square next time too, because we can learn all kinds of things just working on that diagram. And we've worked on medallions and so. Oh, you tatted that one. Wonderful, Debbie. And that tatting somebody else's work is, and especially on something like the magic square, to understand the how it works is the perfect thing to do. Being a designer, um, you should not only learn as much as you can about what's out there and what's been done already, but how it's been done. And that's fantastic. Oh, I'm so excited to hear that, Debbie. Now I know, guys, you have confirmed no matter how I feel, I am doing some good by having this class, and I will continue on. I just don't know how much I can get as far as written up tutorials because that may be a little too much for me, but I'll keep trying. We'll see. I have two huge projects I'm working on for family, and I've been working on them for a couple of years. I'm working on um, our ancestry, both on three different, I'm working ancestry, wiki tree, and my heritage to get back, go back into that. Yes, triangles, two triangles that are mirror images. And that's what Magic Square is all about. It's mirror image triangles. And yeah, thanks, Janella. I get in here and I enjoy it so much. And now my day, I think the rest of my day is going to go fantastic. I'm almost finished with my morning cup of coffee, and it's time I better go get some lunch, or I'm going to be feeling the lack of that. Okay, Mary, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I will continue. Um, okay, so that's it for this week. I love having you all here and all of you who watch by replay. And remember, next week, the diagram class is off for 2 weeks because the next 2 weeks we'll be back to the regular design class, and we may keep talking about magic squares and triangles and squares for the next month too. And we need to add in a little something fun about colors. So see you next week. Bye bye, everybody.